right. Hey there, y'all. Welcome. Today, my guest is Vanessa Dyer. She is a registered dietitian and super nerd. And we're specifically going to be talking today to women in their 30s and 40s who either might be experiencing beginning of menopause and don't know it, or will someday. And we don't want you to be surprised like some of us were. So, Vanessa, welcome. Welcome.
Hi.
Glad you are here. So, I mentioned already you're a registered dietitian, and there is some murkiness around the terminology when it comes to people who tell other people what they should be eating. So, to educate our audience, can you explain the difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist?
Yes, so it really comes down to the state laws. So all dietitians are nutritionists, but not all nutritionists are dietitians. I've met some really amazing nutritionists. I've met some really amazing dietitians. One or the other isn't better. It really just comes down to what they can actually talk about. So here in Florida, we have, everywhere has what's called medical nutrition therapy. So easy one, if someone has high blood pressure and they're working with a dietitian, they're working with that dietitian to lower their blood pressure through food. They have a medical diagnosis and they're treating it with nutrition. So it's nutrition therapy for their medical diagnosis. So other different states have different laws, but here in Florida, you have to be licensed to, let's say, talk about nutrition therapy or nutrition interventions for medical diagnosis.
And for money, I would assume. Because if you and I are having coffee and you're like, oh, my blood pressure's high. And I'm like, have you tried cutting out salt? Like, nobody's going to come jump out of the bushes and arrest me. But if I'm holding myself out as I'm an expert, give me money, I will cure your high blood pressure, then I need to be a dietitian to do that.
Yes, unless, I mean, people do that all the time. There are some people that it really comes down to liability and legality. So let's say a friend was giving another friend advice and that friend who got the advice actually went into harm, or something happened where their health was at risk and they go around and sue that person can get sued because they're not a dietitian.
Oh, even if we're just friends and I say, I mean, I guess you'd have to be a pretty crappy friend.
Yeah, but it's just,
but you could.
Yeah.
Right? You
so
could
that's
be like,
where
Lisa's my friend and she told me to have less salt and now I'm in the hospital with low sodium and she should pay my bills. So that could happen.
So that would be one so that's one thing. And then the other thing is actually dietitians work in long-term care, nursing homes, we're in hospitals, dialysis centers, behavioral health centers, cancer centers, where else? So pretty much anywhere where there's a medical thing going on. Nutritionists are not allowed to do that.
Gotcha. And at least in the state of Florida, anybody can declare themselves a nutritionist, correct?
Yeah, anyone in general can declare themselves a nutritionist. I want to say just Arizona and Michigan, actually, they don't have that medical nutrition therapy law. So actually anyone can give out advice for a medical diagnosis. They don't have that licensure requirement.
Okay, gotcha.
So it really depends on the state, but that's what it really means.
Gotcha.
I mean, I've met some amazing nutritionists. Veronica Kolobab is an amazing nutritionist.
Yes. Yep.
I've worked with amazing nutritionists. So,
but she will probably say, I'll help you reduce sugar, or I will help you have a healthier diet.
Right.
She probably would not say, I'll get you off your diet. I'll cure your diabetes.
Right.
Because she would not be, that could get her in trouble with the state of Florida, especially if she's doing it for money. We love you, Veronica. If you makes sense. But just trying to draw a distinction for the audience is that at least in the state of Florida, if you're going to tell somebody what to eat to cure a medical condition or get a job professionally doing that, you need to be an actual dietitian. Whereas at least in Florida, anybody could be a nutritionist.
Right. And
go ahead.
Right. And I'm saying one's not better than the other. Like I'm saying, Veronica's amazing. I've met other nutritionists that are amazing. It just really comes down to where they can work and then what they technically can say. But it's just really they can change the wording and they'll be fine.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So yeah.
Okay, good. So that's an important distinction.
Mhm.
So you have been talking a lot lately about menopause. And,
Mhm.
I mean, this is a compliment, but you look about 12. So
So
why
I
menopause? How did you get into
I
this
okay,
area?
so I love that I'm starting to really like that reaction. Before I'm like, okay, but then I'm like, no, it's just really building awareness. So
Yes.
I actually even have a quiz. It's called the Menopause Prep Quiz. It's to test your knowledge on what you know about premenopause, perimenopause, and menopause. So what I've learned in the past few months is a lot of people when they say, "Oh, I'm going through menopause," they actually mean they're going through perimenopause.
Right.
So, and then a lot of people are like, what the heck is perimenopause? And then so people use when people are actually going through perimenopause, they think they're going through premenopause. So what's interesting is when I tell people, well, premenopause is actually the from the beginning you have your period. So I think I got my period when I was 12.
Yeah.
So from 12 up until when your ovaries start to stop making hormones. So that can be from 12 to 35, 12 to 40, 12 to 45, whatever. So the moment you have your period until your ovaries start to with the with the hormones,
Hour
that's
down.
that's premenopause.
Gotcha.
So
So
that's
premenopause
premenopause.
is just normal 20-year-old year
Correct.
old having a period.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Correct.
That
Yes.
makes sense. So that's
Yes.
premenopause. And
Yes.
then menopause, if we start from the other end, a lot of people don't know this. You don't know what day menopause is until your 1 year anniversary of it. Can you tell us a little
Yes.
bit about that?
Yes. So menopause is actually like the day, like the moment you have had no period for 12 months in a row, you've menopause. And then
Okay.
actually after that's considered postmenopause. So
Gotcha.
it's just these words kind of getting bounced around. And it's funny because people kind of know what everyone else is saying. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like,
But we
oh,
kind of
I'm
mix them all together.
premenopausal. It's like, well, you're perimenopausal. Oh, I'm menopausal. No, you perimenopause. So
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
menopausal. No, you're postmenopausal. So yeah,
That
but
makes sense.
I chose it because of as I told Veronica actually a few weeks ago, it's honestly because of some BS in healthcare.
Tell
And
us about the BS.
so as I told Veronica, when I was researching my audience, I found a lot of frustrated women not getting their questions answered.
Yeah.
And because when your body starts changing, it kind of actually kind of feels like you're kind of like going crazy a little bit
Yep.
because things are going on. And then you ask your doctor about it, and they're like, oh, well, it's nothing, or it's just this, or it's just that. And you're like, no, I know my body. I always tell people you're the best advocate for your body because it's your body.
Yeah.
And I used to be in that position when I was 17. And I think I remember telling you this when I was 17, I felt like an alien invasion of candida just took over my body. And I want to say from 17 to um, like 21, this was going on. And I saw like 5 different gynecologists. No one can tell me why I kept getting them back to back to back. Oh, just you're a woman, you're just gonna get them. And I'm like,
Yeah.
something is going on inside. And that's when I realized doctors are really there just to diagnose,
Yeah.
to treat.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about physicians, not
Yes.
like
Diagnose and prescribe.
right,
Yep.
not people that have PhD and other things. I'm talking about like physicians. So it, I did my own research and found out long story short, I found out I am what I eat. I was eating a lot of sugar and yeast loves sugar. I was also
Mm.
very stressed. Stress affects your body in any way possible. So started changing my diet and that was that. But I mean, I spent so much money on medication. But so going back to the menopausal women, it's and the perimenopausal women is they're going around saying, why am I gaining weight? Why is my skin changing? Why is my hair changing? Why am I so tired? I'm not anemic. I got my B12 checked. I got my iron checked. Why am I so angry and like just stressed and anxious?
Yes. Why do I want to
Um,
murder and or divorce my husband?
Right. So it's like, oh, well, you're just working too much, or oh, this was going on. It's
Yeah.
so doctors don't get doctors and gynecologists actually don't get any training in hormonal changes because it's not a medical diagnosis.
Right. There's nothing wrong with you. It's a normal process, like
Right. It's
your
like
hair
puberty.
growing.
Right.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
puberty.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
you, oh, well, it's just puberty, you know.
Yeah. But you would
So
think they might notice it when they see it, and not all of them. My understanding is some of them get no training, or if
mhm,
they do, it might be an elective, or it might be sort of like
right.
mentioned once in passing. And my impression is they kind of immediately forget about that until they start to experience it.
Hmm.
So if your
Yeah.
doctor is a lady in her 50s, she's going to be very sympathetic and believe you.
Hmm.
Otherwise, probably not.
Yeah, and maybe because I mean, when I talk to people about menopause prep, I just feel like they're in denial about it. It's like my friend, she's 37 and she's telling me these things. I'm like, that's perimenopause. And she's like, what? No, no, what? No. And I'm like, listen, it's okay. Like you got me as your friend. Like but it's like people don't want to
Yes.
hear it when I tell people perimenopause can start in your 30s. And I'm 32.
Mm-hmm.
When I tell people perimenopause, those hormonal changes can start in your 30s, people are like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? And that's why women's tends to usually where it starts is the weight gain.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it's like just kind of creeps up on you and you're like,
Yep.
oh, what's going on there? So um there is for pretty much anything that goes on with the body, there's nutritional interventions.
Mm-hmm.
And like I have a hot flash and or night sweat challenge out if
Okay.
anybody
Yep.
wants that. um so the reason why some women experience hot flashes or night sweats, because that's another misconception, is hormonal changes are just hot flashes. It can also happen at night, called
Mm-hmm.
night sweats. So the reason why that happens is when hormones drop, it confuses the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is what controls our body temperature. So that's why we get random feelings of being hot and sweaty and then hot and it's like cold. So what helps keep the hypothalamus working properly and functioning properly are polyphenols.
Okay. Yep.
So my hot flash challenge is eating polyphenol rich foods. I believe it's 600 milligrams to 1,000 milligrams every day for 30 days.
Gotcha.
And I had a guinea pig do it, and she noticed a difference. And it's basic foods. It's not anything like exotic. Dark chocolate's on there, green tea, black tea, berries, almond. I think it's almonds, but I just chose 12 foods because there's actually like over 9,000 polyphenols, and I wasn't like gonna make it too complicated. I just
Yeah.
picked things that most people will eat or do eat.
Yeah.
So if anyone's interested, all they need is a food scale, and I give them instructions. And when the 30 days is up, I just tell them report back to me. So it is a free challenge. And so pretty much like I'm going to dissect every possible symptom of hormonal changes and stick a nutritional intervention to it.
Very cool. Yay. So those are things that people could do.
Mhm.
And side note, my guess is most of those things, depending upon how you eat now, if
Yes.
we assume standard American diet, those are probably changes that you're going to want to make anyway because you're going to probably feel better, maybe lose some weight. Like
Yes.
you're probably, like I'm assuming Twinkies are not on the recommended
Right. And
list.
and so it's interesting because if you look at how women experience perimenopause and menopause in other countries, it's like a lot worse here.
Of
Because
course, because our
in like
diet is trash.
right,
Yeah.
because in like Japan,
All the soy,
because they
probably.
eat right, because they have a
Yeah.
lot of fermented soy, they're getting those phytoestrogens. It's like they're like, what's menopause almost? It's like, what is that?
Yeah.
They
Why
really
are people
don't
talking about that?
experience, right, they really don't experience the same symptoms we have here. And
Mm-hmm.
it goes also other factors. Like I always tell people, with your overall well-being, it's so many factors, not just
Sure.
nutrition.
Yeah.
um it's other things: stress, your environment, your socioeconomic status,
Mm-hmm.
your lifestyle. It's other things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but yeah, it's our lifestyle here. It's just everyone has their own different lifestyle and what they eat, so the symptoms here are different from other countries.
Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. So, tell us a little bit about the project you're working on. You were telling me before we started recording about kind of building a referral base. So let's say
Mhm.
let's say I'm in my 30s, mid to late 30s, and I don't feel so good. I've got some
Mhm.
symptoms, something is going on. Obviously, always talk to your doctor, but if
Mhm.
you don't get some satisfaction there, they come and talk to you. What can you help with versus some things that you might refer out?
So I focus on the um like the nutritional aspect of it and the education because I am
Mhm.
an educator.
Yeah.
But I also just love helping people in general. So like even right now, I'm seeing a amazing chiropractor, Dr. Ashley Solomon at Hope Health and Wellness in Stewart. She was the fourth human that I've seen. There were two people that are like, there's nothing that you can do about, I call it my skeleton because it's really my whole entire skeleton, everything.
Yeah.
So or two people said there's nothing that you can do. One was actually my GP, my PCP. He's like, there's nothing you can do because my spine's curving. And then saw some physical therapists, and they're like, oh, you need to do this. And another one was like, oh, just work out more. And it got to the point where it hurt to sit,
Oh,
stand, and lay down on my back.
yeah, that's not right.
That's why I tell people stress will kill you because
Yeah.
stress did that to my whole body. My hips are off, my neck's off, my shoulder blades, my spine, but it's a lot better now. And so she focuses on the spine, but she also focuses on how the spine connects to different parts of your body.
Makes sense. Because that's what
So
somebody that's listening to this that's not maybe in this holistic world would think, what? Like stress doesn't make your
yes,
bones
so
crooked, but it can like tense up a muscle and
so
then things
yes,
get like out of whack. Yeah.
yeah. So what happened is I realized I was tense, I want to say a few years ago. So when I was like 28. So I was
Yeah.
like this actually for
Yeah.
like 28 years.
Little stress
And
turtle
yeah,
just trying to get in the shell.
I was seriously, and I didn't, it was like an epiphany. I was like, oh my God, how long has I been like that? Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would have horrible neck pain for all the time. And I was telling my boyfriend, like, when I was in middle school, I would have horrible back pain, but just associated with my backpack,
Yeah.
carrying all my stuff and
Yeah.
I'm small. So I'm just like, oh, well, I'm carrying like all these books and it's putting the strain on my back. But it was really stress because
Mm,
I grew up in a very stressful household.
mm.
And I had a lot of anxiety. But anyways, so she will tell you how different vertebrae are connected to different like organs, different parts of your
Yeah.
body. And so like one time I was in the waiting room and this guy was like, oh my God, I'm so happy I found Dr. Ashley because I went from doctor to doctor. He said he was feeling nauseous and dizzy. And everyone's like, well, your blood work's fine. So
Yeah.
then he said after like 3 weeks with Dr. Ashley, he felt perfectly fine. And his dizziness went away, his nausea went away. So after one treatment with her, my back was like, oh my God. First time in over a year, I had no pain.
That's amazing.
Oh yeah. But like with like the pelvic floor, like I know Dr. Oreo always talks about the pelvic
Yes,
floor,
we love
like
Dr.
that
Oreo. Yeah.
that also can affect um perimenopausal symptoms, menopausal
Yeah.
symptoms. So it's like if I see that someone's doing like everything nutritional and they're still like having these symptoms on, okay, maybe go see Dr. Solomon or Dr. Oreo and they can help you with your spine. Maybe your spine's off, maybe your pelvic floor is off. So
Yeah.
things like
Yeah.
that. If I meet someone that's like stress eating, oh, go see Lisa Duke. She can
Yeah.
help you with that.
Hmm.
If someone just needs like they're having I don't say marital issues, but menopause, like perimenopause, like I was telling you before, it's very emotional transition. And sometimes some people, significant others, they don't really understand that, and it can cause relationship issues. Oh, I know a therapist, go see so and so. So that's my goal, is to have a referral base, even in other states. Because like I said, I want menopause prep to be as big as possible, not just in Florida.
Yeah.
So that is my goal with that. So anyone I meet, it's like, what do you do? Okay. Make sure I like know what you do, who you can help, women helping women. I'm all for that.
Exactly. And I love to do that too. So I'm always trying to collect good people because I imagine we work with a similar clientele. My marketing is all aimed at women over 40. And as you said, some of these symptoms can start as early as 35.
Mhm.
But I think the awareness for women in their 30s, 40s, and beyond is so important because honestly, I thought menopause was something that affected like, and maybe I'm delusional about how old I am. That's entirely possible. But I thought it was like for the golden girls.
No, a lot of people think that.
Yeah, like you're already retired, you're
Yeah.
70, you live in a nursing home, your concerns in life are, Social Security, breaking a
Yeah.
hip. That's when menopause
Yeah.
comes. And like,
Hmm.
no, I think the average age is 53, 51.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
51, yeah, in the
yeah,
50s. But
yeah.
yeah.
So if this is something that typically finishes around 51, 53, and like you said, can start as early to 50, as
Hmm.
35, this can be something, and it comes and goes too. Like one of the
Hmm.
things, and
Yeah.
tell me what you've been told, but my understanding is the first thing my clients want to do if they hear it might be perimenopause, which relates to hormones. They're like, I need to go get hormone testing. And I'm not opposed to that in certain situations, especially if your doctor calls for it. But everything I've read is the whole thing about perimenopause is your estrogen, your
Yes.
progesterone, it's fluctuating all over the place
Yes.
on a daily basis. So unless you're
Yes.
going to do like maybe even multiple times a day, all these little snapshots,
Mhm.
it just is going to tell you where you are in that moment. It
Right.
doesn't really tell you anything useful. Is that your understanding as well?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to, because like I was saying with menopause, it's that time where you have no period 12 months straight. So there could be 1 month you get your period, then 1 month you don't. There might be 2 months you don't, but then
Yeah.
the third month you do. So it's like
Yeah.
it fluctuates a lot.
Yep. And in my experience, especially just to overshare, because that's how I roll, because that's the stuff that everybody's really interested in anyway. Um, I was on the pill and I was still having regular periods.
Hmm.
But for me, it was more the mental, the emotional. One of the things that I read in a book is that one of the first things that can happen is your amount of oxytocin starts to drop.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so you shift from more of a we perspective to more of a me perspective. And to some
Hmm.
degree, thank God, because this is roughly the age where the kids
Hmm.
are either going off to school or going off to college, right? Like they're starting to
Hmm.
separate from mom, have their own lives. Mom
Hmm.
also should now go and get her own life, right? So some of that's a good thing. But again, it can kind of like, honestly, that's the whole reason I have this business is I kind of like came to one day and I was
Hmm.
like, oh my God, I've built my whole life around my husband. Now he's delightful. We don't have any plans to get divorced, but he has his job. We have our business together that primarily focuses around his skills. And I was like, if he just like leaves with the secretary, I'm screwed. So I started this business out of
Hmm.
this sort of like awakening of,
Yeah.
yeah, of like, I need something that's just mine. That if
Hmm.
he takes off tomorrow, I can, you know, provide this, I can get the clients, I can deliver the services, I can collect the money, like I can do my own thing.
Hmm.
And I just never even had like any, it had never occurred to me. And looking back, that was 2018. So what is that, 5 years ago? I think that was the first like observable symptom
Hmm.
of perimenopause for me was
Hmm.
starting this business. So it can be
I
even
love
like
that
as
though.
subtle as that, right? Like it's not necessarily,
Hmm.
and I knock on wood to date, I haven't had any hot flashes. I haven't had,
Hmm.
whatever it is that we think is going to happen when we're a golden girl, right? Like none of that stuff has happened, but just the like reprioritization of
Hmm.
life. The other thing that happens to a lot of my clients is this is my understanding as well that that estrogen kind of counterbalances cortisol, which is one of our
Hmm.
stress hormones.
Yes.
So as estrogen starts to drop, we don't tolerate stress as
Right.
well as we
Right.
used to. And so that's probably where some of the snippiness, the irritability comes in. Like we've always been under stress. We're just now not
Hmm.
balancing it
Right.
out like we used to.
Right. And like I talked about in my one of my newsletters was all about cortisol and what
Yeah.
it does to the body and how it affects weight gain. And it's like you're stressed, you're gaining weight. and then you stress eat, and then it's like the symptoms are stressing you out. So it's just the stress is just super high. So, but another thing is like I'm a super nerd, so I research the science behind like everything. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
how do hormones affect the hypothalamus? How do they affect the pituitary gland? How do they affect the adrenal glands, the heart, and all this stuff? And it's another thing actually is you can actually have estrogen dominance. So when the
Mhm.
progesterone drops, the estrogen can be like, oh my gosh, I need to like,
It's like high all the time.
yeah. So it can
Yeah.
actually, estrogen can actually dominate. And those are actually different symptoms. That's more like that's usually that's also associated with weight gain.
Okay. Is that more the PCOS, that kind of thing?
No,
Oh, okay.
no.
This is what I asked.
Oh yeah, no, it's different things.
Okay.
So when progesterone drops in perimenopause, estrogen can dominate. That's a possibility. Most women, it's like estrogen and progesterone are low. But when the estrogen is high, women won't typically get those like hot flashes or night sweats and like some other of the common things. They might actually get really bad like migraines and headaches and weight gain. So it can be
Oh.
actually other things that can happen. So there's so much that can happen. That's why I just love it so much. And I love researching. I can spend all day researching something. My friend's like, how do you do that? I'm like, I love it. Oh my gosh, like connect all the dots together and just go into it.
So good. So if somebody's having, right, and again, always talk to your MD, but if you don't get
Mhm.
some love or you don't have an appointment coming up anytime soon, it's not that urgent. Somebody can come to you and you can kind of help them figure out, they're like, I got some weird symptoms. Do we think this is perimenopause
Mhm.
related? And if so, what food things can I do to start
Yes.
to treat the early stages of this naturally? That would be your jam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I worked with pregnant women for 5 years, and I always tell them I specialize in nutrition and food, so
Yeah.
we can rule that out. But if you're still
Yeah.
having certain symptoms, go talk to your provider, and if they can't help you out, go find someone else that can help you because there's always someone that can help you. Like there always is.
Exactly.
Like with like the person I'm seeing now for my skeleton, like
Yeah.
there's always someone that can help you. Like I spent $1,000 went from person to person until I found her. I mean, it was
Yeah.
trial and error, but I was like, I don't take no for an answer. I was like, yeah, I'll just find someone that can help me. Thanks. So, and
Yeah. Yeah.
there's always someone that can help you. So, like when my pregnant clients were having headaches, it's like, okay, let's check your iron, see if it's
Mm-hmm.
that. If you're still having headaches, let's like, what's been going on in your life? Are you stressed?
Yeah.
Have you been sleeping well? Okay, if you've been sleeping well, talk to your provider. I've actually had some clients have to get like CAT scans because it was like a severe headache. And I actually had one client had like a growth
Yeah.
on her brain. So it's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
most of the time, yeah, it is something simple as low iron. That's an easy fix. But
Yeah.
sometimes it's like, okay, we can rule certain things out with the food and nutrition. But then it's like if that's not it, let me refer you to someone else that might be able to help you.
Exactly. And just me personally, I like starting with the food and nutrition anyway, because that's something we should be doing anyway, and we
Mm-hmm.
discount it so quickly. Like, no,
Mm-hmm.
no, no. Let's like start with being healthy. And then if that doesn't do it for you, then go for the pills and the
Mm-hmm.
prescriptions. What we
Yeah.
want to do is like, and this is cultural. It's like I would like to do unhealthy things and then get a pill to
Mm-hmm.
undo that damage so that I can feel healthy. Like, no, 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 no.
Yes.
Let's start with do the healthy things.
Mm-hmm.
And then if that doesn't fix it, we go to the pills and the
Yeah. And
prescriptions.
I get that all the time. I'll talk to people
Yeah.
about like, I don't know if other dietitians have favorite minerals, but my favorite mineral is magnesium. And I'll talk to people about that all the time. Like 50% of Americans actually don't get enough magnesium. Magnesium is a huge component of your mood. It's needed to
Oh,
make endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin. And I'll
nice.
talk to them about that. And they're like, so can I just take a supplement? I'm like, what? I'm like, wait,
Like, let's not run to the pills
so
first, right?
yeah,
Like, food
I still
exists
get
for a
that.
reason. Yeah. The
Yeah.
supplements
So
are coming, they probably at some point were food. So, like, just eat the food and then if you need more. But yeah, it's cultural. It's cultural. We're
yes.
definitely, and this is, I think, part of why placebos work is because we
Mm-hmm.
believe there is something wrong with me. I need a pill to fix me. And so
Yeah.
even if you get a sugar pill, it's like, okay, I've had my pill. I am now fixed. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let's go
Yeah.
back to nature. Let's start with the food,
Mhm.
right? Whether you believe evolution, God, whatever, fruits, vegetables, lean protein, like this is the stuff that we were created slash and or
Mhm.
evolved to eat, right?
Right.
Like try that first. It's like trying to put, it's like I'm putting, I don't know, like let's say I'm putting corn oil in my car and it's not running really well. It's
Right.
like, well, step one, why don't you use like regular gasoline
Right.
and regular motor oil? And then if
Mhm.
that doesn't do the trick, we can look for a fuel additive. But like, let's start with the ingredients that your car was designed to work
I
with.
love that analogy.
Like, let's not put, lighter fluid in the gas tank and
Right.
be like, what can I add to make the lighter fluid good for my car? Like, maybe start with gasoline, oil, like change that little filter thingy, get some new wipers, like do the stuff that it was designed to get. And then, right? Like sometimes if you do all that and it's still making the noise, okay, like Jiffy Lube can't fix it. But yeah, vegetables are the
Yeah.
Jiffy Lube of your body, people. They will quick fix most things. And then if not, escalate from there. So, all right. If folks think they're over 35, they think this might be possibly the secret to what's going on. And if not, you might know somebody who could help them. How can they get in touch with you?
Okay, so I have Instagram. On my Instagram, I have a lot of links. So I have a link to my link tree, my newsletter sign up. My newsletter sign up is really the best way. That's like joining the Menopause Prep Club. I release a lot of newsletters. You were on my newsletter. And
Yay.
so there's a lot of information there. I also have a podcast, but I have on my link tree, I do have a free downloadable PDF. It's called How Do I Know If I am in Perimenopause? And that's like a checklist. So in Instagram, I'm posting weekly. So I say bi-weekly. There's facts on there. I have a quiz. And I just made a form that people tell me what their fears and concerns are. So where I can help them, like what can I do for you?
Perfect. And what is your Instagram? Are we calling
Oh,
them
and I have
handles?
Facebook, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I also have Facebook, but my Instagram is menopause.prep.
Menopause
Mhm.
dot prep. And is the Facebook your personal page or a business page?
I have two. So they can find me through my personal page,
Mhm.
Vanessa Dyer, RDNLD, or they can find me through my menopause prep page.
RDNLD. So that's what? Registered dietary.
Oh, it's registered dietitian nutritionist
Okay.
because, the state of Florida want to make things, well, actually, it's not even state, the country wanted to get fancy with the
Okay.
credentials
Yeah.
and confuse people even more.
Yes.
And then
Good.
the LD, and then the LD is licensed dietitian. So
So
I'm
is
licensed in the state of Florida.
registered is national and licensed is Florida, at least for you.
Correct.
Okay. Gotcha.
Correct. Yes.
So
So I can
Facebook,
technically, yeah.
sorry.
Oh, no, I was gonna say, so yeah, I'm licensed in the state of Florida. I can't work in like New York in a
Okay.
hospital. I would have to get licensed
Okay.
there.
What if somebody is watching this from New York? Can you do Zoom?
Well, that's fine because menopause and perimenopause isn't a medical condition.
According
So it's
to
like free for all.
the men who decide these things. So, okay. But if somebody is like, will you cure my heart disease, diabetes, blood pressure? They need
Oh,
to be in Florida.
correct. I
Okay. But
cannot
if
work
they're,
with them as a dietitian.
gotcha. But if they're
Mhm.
like, I think I got the menopause, can you help me?
Yes.
Anywhere you're seeing this is good.
Yes. Yes.
Cool.
I
All right. So
have
that was
people
the,
signed up from my newsletter in other countries. So
oh, cool. That's the personal.
Mhm.
And then also menopause prep on Facebook.
Yes.
Cool beans. And I will link that in the description under this video. And if you are watching this and you want to get in touch with me, I don't know that I actually introduced myself at the beginning, but you're probably seeing this on my channel unless you got a link. My name is Lisa Duke. I am a mindset coach for women over 40 who want to lose weight. We get into some of the hormone stuff and some of the food stuff, but most of what I do is really helping people figure out what is in the way. What are the habits, the social rules, the dramas that get in the way of eating in a healthy way? And how do we set those new habits up? So if you want to reach me, my website is lisaduke.net. From there, you can book a free initial consultation to talk to me about being a client, or I'm on Instagram as well at Lisa Duke STS. I'm also on Facebook, my business page, Weight University from Lisa Duke Coaching, I think. I'll put that in the link as well. So thank you so much, Vanessa, for being with us.
Thank
And
you.
to the viewers, thank you for watching.